If you are new to this channel and enjoy the content that you see, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to be alerted and notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel, along with following me on these social media platforms to stay connected with me at all times. Also, feel free to check out all of your favorite videos and playlists located down in the description box below. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, evil never dies as Michael Myers returns once more for the latest Halloween 2018 movie trailer number 2, as right now we're about to further analyze, dissect, and break down the events of this trailer to further gain a better understanding as to what's to be expected in this upcoming movie, as we do have lots to talk about in connection to this trailer in terms of new clips and what seemingly looks to be a very violent Michael Myers in this movie. So once more guys, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to punch that subscribe button, and more importantly, if you guys are stoked and ready for this movie to finally drop in less than 1 month, slap a like down below as we begin to dive into the trailer and we see how all the kids in Haddonfield are out trick-or-treating and everyone seems to be going out and about having a good time, typical Halloween season. And what's interesting to me about this trailer is how immediately in the beginning we see these kids, they're walking about, and then suddenly, boom, they bump right into Michael Myers. But Michael in this scenario doesn't seem to acknowledge them, because here, as you guys can see, he's not even looking down at them. He clearly is ignoring these children because he has a motive. He has an agenda. He's not here to nitpick and killing off every single individual in the town, but instead, he's looking for something more. He's looking for Laurie Strode. Now, in this particular trailer, what I really do enjoy is how Michael is seemingly looking around and he finds himself a little shack behind this house. Now, as he begins to walk towards the shack, we see a woman in the background, and this woman seems to have grabbed something from her shack or little garage station, and she leaves. And Michael notices this because, of course, what do we have inside shacks and garages? We have tools and utensils, so that's exactly what he's aiming to go get, is a weapon of some sorts. And I really love the way Michael Myers is moving in this trailer as Laurie Strode begins to talk over and saying 40 years ago Michael Myers had killed 3 people on Halloween, which is very ominous in my opinion. So as Myers finally reaches the shack and he finally gets to this little location here, he finds himself a hammer and he grabs the hammer. Now, judging based on the way Myers looks, he's dirty, it looks like obviously he's aged, but the first thing he grabs is a hammer. Now, why does he grab the hammer? Of course, as we see here, the first thing he does is uses the hammer as a tool to get to a much better and more sufficient weapon. What could that possibly be? Well, as we carry on in the trailer, we see him creeping up in this woman's house. Now, it's very typical of Michael to do this. We've seen him do this in the original 1978 version. We've seen this in plenty of times in other Halloween films, but more notably enough, it's very creepy how this individual just happens to appear in the house. And the first thing he does is he walks in, he turns his head, and he spots the woman. And of course, assumingly enough, judging based on the trailer, he is going to kill anybody that's in his way for him to further his agenda in getting to Laurie Strode. So it's not like this woman did anything to Michael, but more or less essentially, as you guys can see there, she was making a sandwich, and on the counter we have a knife. So instead of just grabbing the knife and walking away, what he does is he turns towards the lady, he ends up killing her off, and later on, in which we can see, he grabs the knife. So, of course, the chair is on the ground. Michael looks a little fat here. I don't know if it's just me, but he does look a little chubby. Either way, I'm still stoked to see him. So he grabs the knife and we carry on in the trailer. So as he walks out through the front door, he's looking around the town. And it's very creepy how we have this one individual walk around with a knife and nobody seems to spot him, nobody seems to even care. Keep in mind, it's been 40 years after the first event of, the massacre in Haddonfield, so I'm fairly certain that 40 years later, a lot of these millennials have either forgotten or they don't even know. So Michael is walking around and we see kids all throughout the area, and then he notices a house here. Now, we don't know exactly whose house this is. This could be Laurie's house, this could be Laurie's daughter's house, Laurie's granddaughter's house, but he ends up spotting this house. It's not more or less the kids, but the house itself. He begins to walk on over with the knife and he begins to peek inside the window. Now, this is very ominous and very chilling because you can only imagine what he's thinking while he's staring through this window. And this is a really cool shot here because we have a woman standing here. She seemingly enough is just minding her own business, and over on the right side outside, we see Michael's shadow just looming about. We don't know what exactly he's up to, but he's essentially there. So as he begins to creep up at the back door, this woman is unsuspectingly just trying to close her shades, and he appears behind her. So I'm assuming that Michael is only going to kill the people that are either in his way or that he deems as killable. It's not like he really has a motive in killing anybody specifically, and this just gives off a very creepy and very eerie vibe, especially knowing the fact that in this movie Michael is going to be very violent, and Michael isn't really going to have a particular motive in attacking random people, but only those that he deems that are in his way. And I do feel in some way, shape, or form he's going to make an example of some people just to prove a point. So I love how Michael just slowly creeps up behind her, and she doesn't seem like she can hear him. She's looking out. She's kind of worried as to what's going on outside, and assumingly enough, that's going to be the end of her. But Laurie in this film is like the modern day Rambo, because not only is she anticipating Michael, but she's ready for him. So she's telling the police officer here that she's ready for Michael Myers, and as we dive deeper into this trailer, we see how the bus crashed, which of course Michael does escape, and they're speaking about Michael having to loom around Haddonfield. He's somewhere out and about, and what I really did enjoy about this trailer is this: Judith Myers, our beloved daughter. So Judith Myers' grave, we haven't seen that since the original movie, and what I really do enjoy about this is the fact that we see here some of the reporters that we saw early on in the first trailer. They seem to have been visiting the grave, and they seem to be kind of studying Judith Myers' grave and trying to figure out pieces as to why Michael had done what he did. So this is a pretty cool shot, in my opinion, is seeing Judith Myers here. But then over out in the distance here, if you guys look on your right hand corner, we see a figurehead wearing all white standing there behind the tree just watching them, and of course that is Michael Myers, and we can only assume here that this is Michael after he had escaped. And I love the shot how they're basically trying to hide his face. They don't want to reveal how he looks like, which is a pretty cool thing, but he remembers where Judith is. He remembers the gravesite, and he's here 40 years later staring down these reporters and investigators, you know, and it's a very eerie sight to see him just standing there. But we see Laurie, she's reloading her guns, and over out here you get to see how she has plenty of ammo. I mean, she's just locked, ready, and loaded to take this guy down. And what I really enjoy about this trailer is seeing how Laurie is trying to cater to her daughter and granddaughter, and she's trying to tell them to escape. Now look at this. Laurie Strode has been playing too much Call of Duty, because she has every gun, semi-automatics, she has rifles, she has everything locked, loaded, and ready. And in this trailer, she did say that how he killed 3 people 40 years ago, it's time for her to kill him. So is that going to happen? It remains to be seen. But Laurie opens it up, she's panicking, and what I really enjoy about this is how she's telling her family to just keep away, stay away, hide, do what you have to do, but don't get in her way. And of course her family thinks that she's crazy. Of course any other person would 40 years later, but either way, as we dive deeper into this trailer, going back to trailer number 1, we see how Michael just lets loose a handful of teeth, and these teeth of course are the teeth of the male reporter that we saw in the first trailer and the person that you guys saw near Judith Myers' grave. So that's a pretty brutal scene, but it gets even more brutal because here, if you freeze frame it, the individual that we saw earlier is right over here. So Michael looks like he bashed this man's face in. He's all bloody, beaten up. He's bashing him against the stall. This woman is panicking, so we can only assume that both of them are going to die because there's no escape for them. Now here, we see Laurie Strode holding her gun in her house, and we see Michael just standing above her, which is a pretty ominous kind of thing. And it brings me back to the original. I cannot wait to see how she's going to go about by shooting Michael, trying to attempt to kill him. The biggest question of this movie is, can Michael be killed? That's what everyone is wondering. That's what we're all kind of begging the question, can he be killed? And it looks like Laurie's not afraid of him, but I love, and you guys can see here, Michael's knife is all bloody, and I love the eeriness behind him because you can see that he has that vintage walk, and you can tell that based on the atmosphere, it's going to be a very creepy kind of movie. And I love how he just shows up in the closet, he shows up all over the place. Laurie Strode ends up grabbing her flashlight here, you know, basically setting up booby traps. Like, her entire house is rigged. So she's been ready for Michael this entire time. So of course, as she clicks the button here, we have some Rainbow Six, defensive wall coming down, shielding her from Michael Myers essentially, or either that, she's trying to trap him in the house so he doesn't leave. So Laurie Strode here, what I really do enjoy is seeing how Michael basically uses his hand, and it looks like he's either turning something on. I'm not sure if it's like, the power switch or if it's something else, a machine perhaps, but we see Michael basically turning something on here, which we see the lights happening to turn on outside the house, and Laurie, she's driving out, she's trying to look for him, but this is really cool here. Now the police seem to have found Michael Myers. We can see his mask, we can see his outline, and it looks like there's going to be a big confrontation between Laurie and Michael by the end of this movie, as she's telling everybody to basically flee, run away. And as she's looking around here, what I really enjoy is seeing Michael's creepiness, like the overall vibe that he emits, being the boogeyman, being the shadow that lurks in the night. Like, we see him walking around, and that's a pretty cool thing to see how Laurie's not afraid of him, which is a pretty cool thing. She's not afraid, she's looking for him, and the entire town, seemingly enough, is empty now. We went from a town filled with kids, and now the town looks to be empty. And I can only assume that it's because they discovered the bodies. Laurie Strode is telling everyone to go home, and because of this, it's going to be a showdown in a very quiet town in Haddonfield. So we see how she's looming around with the officer, and they're trying to figure out where Michael is. Now this guy, I think, is doomed. Why? Because out of nowhere, Michael appears. Michael appears behind him, and I can only assume that this officer may in fact get killed. I really don't see any other person surviving this film, probably other than the daughters and the granddaughters of Laurie Strode, but that remains to be seen. So as we carry on forward, we see Jamie Lee Curtis. She's staring out, police caution tape. She knows what's happening here. Now, no, that's not Dr. Loomis next to her. Dr. Loomis is dead, but, hopefully enough, they do pay homage to him by, showcasing more of him in this movie. But as we continue, there's bodies being wrapped up. There we go. The boogeyman in all his glory, Michael Myers. He's staring out at, assumingly enough, either Jamie's granddaughter. He begins to grab her, and what's cool about this is seeing how psychotic Michael is, because he carved out someone's head in the form of a pumpkin. It's pretty brutal, and then he shows up behind this individual and he just yokes him up. So pretty brutal stuff. This movie is going to be absolutely brutal in nature, very violent. And as Laurie is aiming her gun, she tells Michael, "Happy Halloween, Michael," before she actually manages to knock him down, in which he falls down the flight of steps. You guys can see here, she's been ready for him. She knocks him down these flights of steps, and he goes crashing on down into the basement, but not before she aims the gun at him, and he just sits right back up. So very creepy stuff. And by the end of this, Laurie is walking around her house, and I'm assuming that Michael does know about, where she is, and he's probably stalking her in the house. But as she's looming around, we see her next to the door, and one of the original images shown a few months ago happens to occur as he just busts through the windows. He grabs her by the face. This is a really cool scene right here. He grabs her by the neck, he grabs her by the face, and he begins to hoist her up. So I'm only assuming that yes, she is going to live, but he looks to be very violent. He's coming through the door, he's coming through walls. This guy is not playing around anymore, as we see the finale of the Halloween 2018 trailer. So let me know in the comment section below as to what you guys think. Is Michael mortal? Are they officially related, even though a lot of people are saying that they are? It's confirmed that in this film, Laurie and Michael are not related, and there's a huge possibility that Michael is going to be a mortal in this movie, which means that he could die. So by the end of it, is Laurie going to kill Michael? Is Michael going to kill Laurie? Are they both going to die? Is Michael going to perhaps attempt to kill Laurie, and just like in similar fashion to the original, the Laurie Strode's body has disappeared, kind of like taking us back to the original where Michael thinks that he had killed her, but she ends up escaping. So let me know your thoughts. This was a really compelling trailer because it's very dark and it's very ominous. It gives off that eerie feeling that needs to be of Halloween, and I couldn't have enjoyed this more. So leave your feedback down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys are new to this trailer, make sure you guys go ahead and slap a big fat like down below. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button, tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.